Hello and welcome to Franchise Direct. My name is Lily Burrows and today I'm speaking with Bill Holohan of Holohan Solicitors. Can you tell me the basic steps I'd need to take when considering becoming a franchisee?
Make haste slowly. Someone would need to check it out very carefully. If you were to go, for example, to the International Franchise Association website, there are over 3,000 different types of businesses listed. There are some things that will sell in Ireland and others that don't. For example, we're among the highest per capita consumers of ice cream in the world, but frozen yogurt doesn't do it for us. We're not into frozen yogurt. So something that's very successful somewhere else might not work here. So you have to check out that there is a market for the goods or services that you're thinking of providing, because it may be something new and novel, but it may not be to everybody's taste, literally, depending on the type of business you're getting into. So you have to check the market very carefully before you embark on it.
At what point would I need to seek legal advice?
You decide on what particular area of business you'd like to go into. Now, one of the features of franchising is that you don't necessarily have to have prior experience, that you can be trained. But it has to be something that you would be interested in. Sometimes I get calls and someone says, "Can you recommend a franchise?" And my answer always is no, because someone has to want to get into a particular business themselves, and they have to be convinced that that's the particular one for them. If it's burgers that do it for them, do they want McDonald's or do they want Burger King? Which do they think is a better product? And they have to make that judgment call. It's only once they've really decided they want to go with a particular system that they need at that stage to contact a lawyer. The first step would be they'd probably be asked, when they're talking seriously with a franchisor, to sign a confidentiality agreement. After that, they may then be asked to sign the franchise agreement itself. And that's a legal contract with serious implications. So they do need legal advice at that point.
What exactly is a franchise agreement?
Well, a franchise agreement is a legally binding contract. And essentially, it's an agreement whereby the franchisee agrees to use the franchisor system to operate a particular business, offering goods or services for a certain period. Now, there's a famous phrase from a TV show, Mastermind, "I've started, so I'll finish." And that's one of the important things that people forget. They're committing, we'll say, for 5 years to do this. And if for whatever reason they want to get out, it can be difficult to do it. A franchise agreement will allow them to sell on the business, but it doesn't necessarily allow them to simply stop trading, even if they're losing money, and walk away. Technically, that is a breach of contract. So at that stage, for example, they'd have to do a cost-benefit analysis of whether it's the lesser of two evils to stop and risk the franchisor claiming against them for the balance of profits that they might have earned under the term of the agreement, or continue losing money. Now, that may sound pessimistic, but the reality is that after 5 years, up to 90% of franchise businesses are still operating, whereas the reverse is almost true of non-franchise businesses. It's very hard to try and reinvent the wheel when somebody's already done it. So there is an advantage to going with an established and bona fide franchise system.
Can you tell me the difference between a master license and an area developer?
A master is generally the term used to describe the situation where somebody is given the rights for a national territory. So you'd have a master franchisee for Ireland, and they in turn would then grant franchises to franchisees within Ireland. But it's as if they are the head franchisor. They're not. They're somebody out there in the world. With an area development agreement, it's where a franchisor will give somebody the right within an area to develop that area as much as possible. So, for example, O'Brien's in the early days granted a developer agreement to a particular franchisee in Cork, and they were given the entire city of Cork. So whether they wanted to put 1 or 1,000 units into the city of Cork was a matter for them. It was a question of what could the market sustain. Now later, O'Brien's model changed, and they moved to granting solus agreements, in other words, for particular sites only.
Can you give a brief do's and don'ts list for those looking to start a franchise?
Do check everything out very carefully. Franchisees looking at a franchise should generally be looking at a 6-month evaluation process. By the time they start with all the list of potential businesses they can get into, narrowing it down to one that they're interested in, then looking at the systems in that particular area of business, comparing, contrasting, and then if they decide to go with one particular, they need to be speaking to the existing franchisees to find out what they have to say. Now, there may always be one grumpy so-and-so in the network who won't speak well of the franchisor, But if they're generally getting a very positive feedback and great reports about what the franchisor does and the value of the business, that's a very good indicator. And that's the type of thing they should be getting. Again, I say to people, even if all the figures stack up, if there's just something not right and the gut is telling them it's not right, go with the gut.
Bill, thanks very much for your time. If you're considering franchising, please remember it's essential to consult a solicitor before signing any legal documents.